The new king of the jungle is here. Joe Burrow is officially a Bengal. Hear what he's going to do with this contract money.
I've known ever since I've grown up as a little boy that my expectations was to do a little bit more. I had to be just a little bit better.
Princeton's Mike Daniels is aiming for progress as he builds with the Vikings. Find out the challenges he's facing on his journey. And FC Cincinnati gave fans a reason to get excited in the month of July, but what's going on with the club for the rest of the year?
From WCPO 9 Sports, this is Sports of All Sorts.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. I'm Reggie Wilson. Sports are back in full swing with all major pro leagues in Ohio high schools too. So let's get going tonight, starting with a recap of the week that was in Cincinnati, starting with the Tiger King. My God, that's Burrow's music. Joe Burrow is in the house officially. The Bengals' top overall pick signed his $36 million contract on Friday. He said he's not going to spend any of it. He's going to save it. He also said he plans to win a lot of games in Cincinnati and said for the record he has never watched the show Tiger King. As most athletic programs in the area get ready to take the field this fall, at least one will not be. Middletown High School suspends all fall sports earlier this week due to the pandemic, and as of now, there's no set date for their return. But official practices got started on Saturday here in Ohio. And what a bizarre week for the Cincinnati Reds. 4 straight losses, and then they got it figured out. Moose got loose. He was out due to illness, but then came back and quickly hit a homer. Same story for Nick Senzel. Pitcher Wade Miley is on the injured list, though, and so now, too, is Joey Votto. And the Reds are wrapping up their first road trip, but at least they're playing. That's more than some major league teams can say right now. And if you didn't stay up late to watch FC Cincinnati's knockout game earlier this week, you missed a good one. FCC had opportunities to win it late in the game, but ended up falling in a PK shootout. There's a lot to be encouraged about if you're a soccer fan in the tri-state. And that brings me to our first guest, Laurel Pfahler. Read her work on WCPO.com, Dayton Daily News, and also her own site on Patreon. Laurel, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. So, Laurel, how cool was it to see the fight from the orange and blue in the MLS's back tournament?
It was really surprising, I have to admit. I did not expect that to, especially after a 4-0 loss in the first game against Columbus Crew. You just kind of saw that this was going to be a project, and, Coach Stam hasn't really been with the team long enough to have established his system and haven't had enough practices together. So you didn't really expect a lot, and then there he goes and changes his system and start seeing some results. So it was really good to see. And
that kind of leads me to my next question. What have you seen early on under the new head coach, Jaap Stam?
Well, he's very defensive-minded, being a former center back. But the thing that has surprised me is that he had always talked about wanting to be more attacking-minded, and that he didn't want to just be known for his defense. So we saw them try some things in the first game against Columbus Crew where they were going forward, and they looked really good doing that for about 20 minutes. And then they ended up with a 4-0 loss. So the next game, they went to his defensive approach, moved to 5 backs, and started parking the bus, as people say, which a lot of people don't like that term, but that's what they did. They kind of sat back and defended. And I think that we were able to see just how tactically strong he is as a coach, that he can make that change, and the players saw some results from it. It wasn't the prettiest 1-0 win over Atlanta. They were even up a man for most of the game, and when that didn't happen, I think people just were disappointed. But then when they saw that then work against New York Red Bulls the next game for a 2-0 win, I think people started trusting in it and seeing like this tactical approach is what's needed for the team right now.
For sure. So after 2 big wins last month, what's next for FC Cincinnati after bowing out of the tournament?
Well, right now, they had off until Tuesday. They needed a little bit of a break after playing 3 games in such a short span. So they have off till Tuesday, and then they will be getting back to training with the hope of a season resuming. The goal for MLS is to begin playing games in the team's home markets starting around the 3rd week of August. The MLS is Back final takes place on August 11th. So with what's going on in Major League Baseball, I think that they're going to have to wait and see, do they need to shift their plan a little bit? There's 3 Canadian teams that they're going to have to figure out where they're going to be able to play, because we've already seen with baseball, they're not going to be able to come back and forth between Canada and the U.S. So I think that leaves some questions, and if they can sort that all out, then hopefully we do get some more games here at Nippert Stadium.
Fingers crossed on that one. So real quickly, switching gears to the other football, Joe Burrow is now a Bengal officially. The learning curve for a rookie is already pretty steep. How much more difficult is it for him with this unusual offseason with the pandemic?
I mean, I see it as a huge challenge for him to come in. He hasn't had that time with his receivers. The veterans already have bought into just what he's said in meetings, that he's established himself as a leader, even as a rookie. So I think that, I guess that helps that he's got the respect of his teammates. But it's definitely going to be a challenge, especially not having the preseason games, for him to have that settle in and just testing himself against another team. His own teammates are not going to want to tackle him like the defensive linemen are going to be coming at him week 1. So he's going to, I think, be in for a little bit of a rude awakening.
For sure, for sure. We'll keep an eye on that. Laurel, as always, we appreciate your insight, your perspective. Thanks for taking the time. Let's do it again sometime, all right?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. All right, let's go to the D. Reds and Tigers in game 1. Nick Castellanos up in the first, and he says, try Jesus, not me, 'cause I go yard. 2-run shot to give the Reds a 2-0 lead, and he's not done. Top third. He's like, didn't I just tell you not to try me? Bye-bye baseball. Oppo solo shot, and it's 3-0. Anthony DeSclafani off the injured list makes the start. Steady. 5 innings, 2 Ks, no runs, in line for the win, but once again, that bullpen. Lucas Sims loads the bases, and Castellanos goes from hero to, oh no, botches it in the outfield. All 3 runs score, and the game is tied. But not to fear, because Shogo is here. This base hit placed the go-ahead run. Iglesias shuts it down for the save. Reds win 4-3, and Bauer deals in game 2 in a complete game shutout. First doubleheader sweep on the road since 1999. And the Reds are back home Monday against the Indians, but I want to hear from you. With so much going on in baseball right now, do you think the MLB will finish this season? Tweet me at Reggie Wilson TV and make sure to use the hashtag SOAS. Mike Daniels made history last season at Princeton that was 53 years in the making. Coming up, the pressure he faces and the impact he's making on other coaches in the GMC. Plus,
I think he has all the necessary characteristics to be a really, really great football coach.
high praise from Hugh Jackson, how he's helping to mold Coach Daniels toward his NFL dreams. Welcome back. Last summer, we chronicled the Princeton football team in a series called Hypeville High. The Vikings ultimately fell short of their championship goal, but the program still accomplished a significant feat for the man leading the charge. The intensity, the rivalries,
gonna whoop you.
the big plays. It's a staple in the Greater Miami Conference, one of the premier high school athletic conferences in all of Ohio.
We've been playing football a long time here. What's up?
Mike Daniels has been the head coach at his alma mater, Princeton, for the past 3 seasons. He understands the proud history and tradition of the program. Princeton is one of the original member schools in the GMC.
We haven't had a whole lot of opportunity, us as black men, to have the top leadership position. And so when you get one, it's a big deal.
Picture this. The GMC was founded in 1966, and Mike Daniels became the first black head coach to make the playoffs in 2019. Do the math, that's 53 years.
You talk about historic things in life. I mean, that's a big deal. And so I'm very proud of it.
Listen up. Don Simpson is the head coach at Middletown and served as defensive coordinator for a year at Princeton under Daniels.
Surely there has been a head coach that's taken a team to the playoffs, and to find out he was the first, that's awesome to hear as a black head coach. Good play.
He's also the first black head coach in the 108-year school history.
It makes you reflect, a sense of pride and then a sense of responsibility.
Simpson and Daniels are in rarefied air in the GMC. There's only been 6 black head coaches in the history of the conference: Doc Gamble, Eric Gillespie, Calvin Johnson, Gary Crowley, Mike Daniels, and Don Simpson.
You got to crawl before you walk.
Gamble says that should change.
To see even more black head coaches in the GMC and everywhere, should be a priority.
Come on, Leroy.
Daniels serves as an inspiration to black coaches in the area.
We've come here with almost somewhat of the same type of culture that's being built down there. That's reassuring to me that, hey, we're doing things the right way. If we continue to do it the right way, we can have that success.
It's not enough to just make the playoffs, though. The state championship expectations bring pressure for Daniels, but he welcomes it.
We as black men have to do a little bit more in terms of having success.
You just don't get those positions and then become black. You've been black all your life. You've had that added pressure all your life that you had to be excellent. So when you go into those opportunities and you don't have the success that you want, it is disheartening.
Yeah, D-Hen.
So Coach Daniels presses forward.
Our young people are represented.
Hoping the impact of what he's building.
They have someone that they can look up to and say, I want to be like that guy. That guy grew up like me. He looks like me. That's it, money bag.
Goes far beyond the game.
That's my role model.
Daniels also has aspirations to coach at the highest level. So as he's teaching this summer on the field, he's simultaneously learning.
Play as a unit.
Coaching is an art form.
You can't coach one way everywhere. You have to adapt to the culture you're in.
You ain't believe me.
Princeton head coach Mike Daniels is trying to bring a championship culture back to his alma mater. But he hopes to frame a bigger picture for his future.
There's something inside of them that want to do it at the highest level and compete that way. And so that's the goal.
The Bengals tapped Coach Daniels to be a coaching intern this offseason as a part of the NFL's Minority Fellowship program, in a league where head coaching opportunities for minorities are quite like this gate. Hard to open.
The intellect is at a premium, and so just having access to the structure of it, what it looks like, how it sounds, is extremely important. Plus, I grew up a Bengals fan, so it's a win-win for me.
So Daniels is seeking advice from a guy who coached at the highest level twice.
This is pro football at its finest.
Former Browns head coach and former Bengals offensive coordinator, Hugh Jackson.
He had a very talented player on his team, Paris Johnson, the mother, Monica. She's always been a family friend. She spoke so highly of Coach Daniels all the time.
What's blossomed from there is a meeting of the minds between two ball coaches.
Just like Marvin Lewis championed him, gave him all types of opportunity, it's important for him as a godfather, him as a OG, as we call him, to be able to mentor and champion others.
Daniels' NFL coaching aspirations also come with some hard-hitting realities. The league is comprised of 70% black players, but only employed 3 black head coaches currently, and only 18 in the history of the league.
It just seems like for the minority coaches, the goalpost moves all the time. They want you to do this, or you need to do that, or you need to accomplish this. My goal for him is someday that he doesn't have to deal with all of the other shenanigans that go on.
Big tanks.
Daniels will continue to cultivate at Princeton, but when an NFL opportunity comes one day,
it looks like we're doing a lot.
Jackson believes he'll be ready.
I really think the sky's the limit for him. You don't find ready-made guys like him in high school. He vibrates at a whole higher level than that from a X and O standpoint and the way his mind works.
You that dude?
An ongoing expression of his art.
This guy could coach anywhere.
What's up?
Coming up, we continue the conversation with another high school coach in the area about how he navigates through the challenges of being a black head coach at Withrow.
You can't get a shot if if you don't know anybody. So you got to get around and being able to shake those hands and meeting people and letting them hear your story and letting them hear your vision and what you want to accomplish as a coach.
That was University of Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach Doc Gamble, who also spent time at Fairfield, but he's most known for his time at his alma mater, Withrow, as head coach. We are continuing the conversation about the black head coach experience with the current Withrow head coach, Carly Jones. Coach, thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. All right, Coach, so we talked about pressure in the story with Coach Daniels. And it's one thing to have the resources of a school in the GMC, but you're coming off a golf fundraiser. What kind of challenges do you face at Withrow?
Well, we don't have the same, amount when it comes to budget. So coaches within Cincinnati Public have to think outside the box to raise funds. And that way, we're able to provide the type of resources, essentials for our young men to be successful both in the classroom, out the classroom, on the field of play, off the field of play, and a lot of times even just going home. So doing different fundraisers like golf outings and things of that nature allow us to have a little bit of financial freedom or financial wherewithal to make those things happen, to accomplish those goals.
For sure. And so, Withrow is a proud program. I've heard that since I've gotten here, with a rich tradition. But in recent years, they've struggled to win consistently. How tough is it for you as a black head coach to rebuild that winning culture? You feel that pressure?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, when the kids are put in a certain situation that they can't control, you have inconsistency. And so we have really bought in as a program, even with the kids and the coaches and the administrators, to really be consistent in all things. And when you build consistency, then you can build a winning culture. And that's what we have focused on. So last year we had 2 wins in the ECC. That hadn't happened in a long time. And we were very happy and proud to accomplish that, because we started 6 freshmen in those wins, and we are excited about where we are. The numbers are up. We're at about 60 kids in our program right now. Before I got there, they finished with about 25 to 27, and so everything is up. Everything is up on the uptick with our program, and we are very excited. But we have eradicated the down culture, and everything is up on the positive right now.
Absolutely. And so, Coach, we talk so much about change. We need to see change. What does change look like for you moving forward?
Change for us is to keep trusting the climb. And that's our motto this year. Last year it was believe, this year is trust the climb. And when we trust the process and we keep putting in the work, because there's only one thing that gets paid, and that's the work. And as long as we trust that process, then good things are going to happen. And so we believe in building things the right way, trusting the process while we build, and everything else will take care of itself. So we are excited about where the program is going right now and the direction that we're headed, and we're just ready to get out there and have some football.
And do you feel that pressure that we talked about, like, you just have to be excellent, you can't really fail as a black head coach?
Absolutely. So we are always under the microscope. We are always scrutinized with a different kind of lens. And so you really have to be on your P's and Q's. You really have to put the attention in on the details about how you carry yourself, how you run your program, because, we live in a society where, you're going to be scrutinized a little more than our counterparts. And so, you feel that pressure, but once you get locked in to really building what you have around and what you are responsible for, like I said, everything takes care of itself, and that's where we're at. We're really locked in. And once you're locked in, you don't have time for the distractions, because you're so locked in on building up the young men that you're responsible for.
For sure. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time. Good luck this year at Withrow. We'll keep our fingers crossed on the football season. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For sure. All right, we'll be right back to wrap up the show. Coming up after the show is In Depth with Graham Benzinger, and he's throwing it back to the time he spent with the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. Basketball is back, and it just doesn't feel right with him not being there. So stay up a bit. Check out the show with my favorite athlete of all time. Well, it's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun, but we gotta go. I'd like to thank my guests, Laurel Pfahler and Coach Collie Jones, for joining me tonight, and to my village who helped me put this all together. Thanks so much. I also want to thank you for rocking with me. Let's do it again next Sunday. Until then, have a good night and a very blessed week.